Harrison Bader posted an Instagram picture and everybody freaked out over the caption thinking he was gone. Let's learn a lesson on today's episode about why everyone needs to take a deep breath when it comes to this offseason.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And the Locked On Podcast Network is now the #1 sports podcast network. And Locked On Phillies is your #1 place for daily Monday to Friday Philadelphia Phillies content. Thank you for helping make both of those things come true. If you don't know me, I've been doing some work in sports talk for years here in Philadelphia. I've been on air over at 97.5 The Fanatic doing sports talk radio for over 6 years. I've been a credentialed Philadelphia Phillies media member for the past 4 seasons, and this is now my 4th year as the host of Locked On Phillies. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. We got a whole bunch of stuff on today's episode. Harrison Bader posted an Instagram picture and everybody lost their mind over the caption because it sounds like he's saying goodbye to Philadelphia. We're going to start with a deep breathing exercises and a little bit of mental check-in on some folks out there because slow down. So we'll dive deeper into that. But we're also going to talk about a new intriguing option in center field that may have just popped up on the market for this offseason from Minnesota. And no, not Harrison Bader, the other guy. And we're going to talk later on in the episode about something intriguing with Don Mattingly, an all-time coach who could be heading to Philadelphia, not to replace Rob Thomson, but to join his staff. So a lot to get into on today's episode, so much so that we won't be breaking down any free agents on today's episode, but we will have a lot of great stuff for you. We're not going to talk about Harrison Bader going to another team because that's not necessarily happening. Harrison Bader took to Instagram and posted a picture with a long caption thanking Philadelphia. And to some people, that meant he's gone. You're out of center fielder. Let's hit the market because Harrison Bader has played his last game as a member of the Philadelphia Phillies. And I will say, reading the caption, it does read like that, right? Let me read this to you. If you haven't seen it. From Harrison Bader's Instagram, he says, "Philly, baby, 2.5 months was not nearly enough, but that's all the gods had in store for us this year. To the ones who made it happen, thank you. To every screaming fan, I love you and thank you. To a clubhouse I'm humbled to have been a part of, especially thank you. This game is a gift, but you, Philly, are a bleeping gift." And he spelled gift G-I-P-H-T, throwing the P-H in there for Philly. And a lot of people read that and were like, okay, he's gone. See ya. Freaking out if you wanted Harrison Bader back. If you wanted him gone, maybe happy. But now the question is, who in the world plays center field for the Phillies? Is it Justin Crawford? Is it Brandon Marsh? They got to go check the free. Slow down. Take a deep breath. He said, that's all the gods had in store for us this year. This is not a guarantee that Harrison Bader is not going to be back. In fact, this has nothing to do, per reports, with the future of Harrison Bader. It's just a thank you for being awesome since the trade deadline when I came to Philadelphia. It doesn't say, I'm not going to be here anymore. Our time has come to an end. I'm not signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm going elsewhere. He can still very much sign with the Philadelphia Phillies. That determination has not been made yet. And this is a lesson for the offseason. There will be little rumors and points of news and red herrings that lead you down one path, and make sure that you are slowing down and truly evaluating what's happening. You might see a post from a random Instagram or X account that says, Kyle Schwarber, rumored to the Reds, 5 years, $130 million contract. Until you see one of the big-time MLB reporters or a big-time news outlet, the real ones, not the fake aggregators or anything like that, like real news reporting reporters put out the news that a deal is confirmed, do not believe it. We have had instances in the past where even some of those big-time reporters, well-trusted sources around baseball, will put out this player signing here, and then it doesn't end up happening. Do we remember the Shohei Ohtani is on a plane to Toronto saga? Do we remember the Arson Judge is signing with Toronto? Like, why does it always seem like it's got to be Toronto that gets the bad end of the stick? But bottom line is, there's going to be a lot of rumors. There's going to be a lot of misinformation. And I'm not saying that this is a rumor or misinformation. This is straight up from Harrison Bader's Instagram account. But unless he says, my time in Philadelphia is done, I'm going elsewhere, goodbye, Philadelphia, you can't just jump to conclusions, all right? There's a lot of stuff. Major League Baseball free agency is a lengthy process, lengthier than any other sport. You know why? Because currently there's no cap on the market. And for that reason, negotiations take longer. If you had a salary cap and you have $20 million left to spend this year, and you said, hey, we'll give you, Harrison Bader, $20 million. I'm just throwing out random numbers here. He was like, no, I need more. You know what you say? Sorry, we don't have it. And then he goes and talks to another team, and another team finds out if they have it. That's not how baseball works. There's no cap. So if he comes and says, I want 20 mil, the Phillies are like, no, then he can go to another team and maybe get 25. And the Phillies can say, wow, we really want you back. We're playing kind of hardball. We'll give you 30. Then another team gets 35. Then another team gets 40 and 45. And it doesn't go up by that big of value every time. It's not like $5 million increases, but it takes longer, the negotiation process, because there's no framework for how much a team can or cannot spend. There's luxury tax, which some teams will refuse to go into, but that's a soft cap that doesn't truly restrict teams from spending that money. So let things bake in to free agency. You can't just see a Instagram post from a player and put together pieces and say, yeah, he's gone. Right? That just can't happen. Now you may see it and say, it reads like he understands his time in Philadelphia could be over. I think that's a fair evaluation of this Harrison Bader Instagram post, but that's not like definitive one way or another. So don't jump the gun on stuff like this. There will be plenty of time to react to what Bader decides to do, what Schwarber decides to do, what Realmuto decides to do, and Ranger and all of these guys that the Phillies have as free agents this year. But one Instagram post is not enough for people to lose their minds about Harrison Bader maybe or maybe not being a Philadelphia Philly next year. When he signs somewhere, you'll know. If there are rumors out there that come from credible sources, we will talk about them on the podcast as they are. Hey, there's this thought. There are whispers. There are rumors that I'm hearing around baseball that say Harrison Bader seems to be likely to come back to Philadelphia. But that's as far as I'll go until a contract is signed and reported and actually, in reality, existent. If we're going to lose our minds buying into every single Instagram post that's just thanking a team, we're going to drive ourselves insane this offseason. So what I'm hearing is that there's nothing with Harrison Bader's Instagram post that leads to him going anywhere else. That's not to say he's guaranteed to return, but just he felt that he wanted to say thank you to the fans and the organization for the 2 months and change that he was with them. And it doesn't mean he won't be back. You can enjoy things without them being over. So anyone who thought Harrison Bader was gone after seeing that Instagram picture, maybe you're right. Maybe he will be. But we do not know that yet. And this does not determine anything about his future. So just a immediate early lesson in this free agency period. Don't jump the gun. You're going to get yourself all riled up for no reason. And let's wait until the actual news is reported. Now, this that we have coming up next is actual news. At least it's an intent of actual news potentially being dropped. Yeah, I'll explain, because it's a report about a no trade clause that's apparently willing to be waived, which is a lot of ifs if you understand what all of that stuff means. But a very intriguing player could have just put himself on the market. And if he is truly available, the Philadelphia Phillies should be one of the first teams knocking on the door. Let's talk about game time first, though, because the NFL season is rolling right along. And honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It's really frustrating, and that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast. It's easy. It's backed by the Game Time guarantee, which means you'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. It's such a great ticket buying experience from start to finish, soup to nuts. You're going to get a view from your seat, so you know exactly how you're going to be able to see the court, the field, the ice, the stage. It's not just sports, comedy, concerts, theater. They've got it all at Game Time. If you're buying your tickets from anywhere else, you're making it harder on yourself and you're making it more expensive on yourself. Game Time has amazing deals. Like, take a look at Sunday night. The Detroit Lions come to town to face your Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field. It's a huge game, maybe the biggest game of the regular season that the Eagles will play at the Link. Go ahead and check out Game Time. They got great tickets all over the place. So check them out. And if you want an even better deal, well, you're in the right place. You download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. And download Game Time today. There's a very intriguing name that just potentially popped up on the free agency market. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But something that's also very intriguing is being part of our Everydayers Club and subscribing to Locked On Phillies on YouTube. If you haven't watched the show, it's a cool way to do it. You get to see my facial expressions. Sometimes I make hand motions that make more sense than just listening to the podcast. I try and explain everything with how I'm saying it, but sometimes it's good to put a face to the voice. And you can do that by checking us out on YouTube. And you can hit the subscribe button when you do watch us on YouTube, and that'll get you notifications when new episodes are posted, and Locked On Phillies will start showing up in your algorithm. It's free and easy to subscribe, and it helps you out as much as it helps us out. If you're listening in podcast form, we're available wherever you get your podcasts, and I would love it if you could rate and review as well. So if you want to listen, great. If you want to watch, great. I appreciate any way that you guys consume Locked On Phillies. I would also appreciate if the Phillies took note of some news that just came out about a star center fielder. This is per Dan Hayes, who was the first to report this. Byron Buxton, and this just broke earlier today, may be open to waiving his no trade clause for certain contenders if the Twins keep selling off pieces. That's the report per Dan Hayes that broke today. There's a lot of ifs in there. There's a lot of maybes in there. Let's talk about what this means. So Byron Buxton is an incredibly talented center fielder for the Minnesota Twins. The guy does it all. He's one of the true five-tool players in today's game. He can hit for power, he can field, he can run, he can throw. He's great, man. He's just, if you built a center fielder in a lab, you would build Byron Buxton. The issue with Byron Buxton is that he's been banged up lately. And injuries have been something that have really gotten him throughout his whole career. But as you age, injuries become even more prevalent. So that's the big drawback on him when he's available. He's amazing. He's not available as much as you would like. Because of that, he's on a pretty manageable contract with the Minnesota Twins. He's not on one of these 18-year, $4 billion deferred deal contracts. He's only got a couple more years left on the current deal, and it's not too expensive. So you can theoretically go out there and trade for Byron Buxton if he's willing to waive his no trade clause. Now, I'll tell you this. I don't expect Minnesota to stop selling off pieces. They traded basically their whole bullpen, including Joan Duran, to the Philadelphia Phillies. They traded multiple position players, including Harrison Bader, to the Philadelphia Phillies. You can make this work because I'd imagine Minnesota is looking at Buxton saying, we're probably not going to win anything in his window with where the contract is. We're rebuilding right now. If he's willing to waive his no trade clause, you get what you can get for him and you move on and you rebuild completely. So that's why this is a realistic opportunity that he is on the market. You don't have to do a long-term deal like you'd have to do with, say, Cody Bellinger, who we talked about. You're not rewriting a contract. You're getting Buxton on his current deal if you were to trade for him. You're getting a better player than what you have in Harrison Bader, all due respect. Like, Harrison Bader's ceiling is a fringe all-star player. Byron Buxton's ceiling is an all MLB center fielder. Will he be healthy enough for that? I don't know. But there are downsides to every player. If you're going to tell me, hey, give me Harrison Bader because he fits the culture of this locker room and you can get him for a regularly sized contract or the regular cost contract, fine. But the drawback is he might be a 240, 250, 260 hitter. He has some pop, plays a great center field. He's not a star player, even though he played like one over the past couple of months here in Philly in the regular season. Byron Buxton, the drawback can be health, but the upside is higher than any free agent center fielder on the market, not named Cody Bellinger, and it's higher even than Cody Bellinger because of the contract situation. The Phillies are a contender. The Phillies need outfield help. The Phillies would be flat out insane if they did not pick up the phone and call Minnesota and say, we want Byron Buxton. What is the price? Doesn't mean you have to pay it, but they're walking into the store. This isn't even window shopping. You are at the front counter, ringing the bell, asking for a clerk to come talk to you so that you can figure out beyond a shadow of a doubt how available Byron Buxton is and how much the Twins would want for him. Now, because he has a no trade clause, Byron Buxton would have to agree to go to the team that's willing to trade for him. And there will be other teams in the market. There absolutely will. He will be a sought-after name because outfield help is not easy to come by. It also doesn't mean that you can't still re-sign Bader because let's say you go out and you get Byron Buxton, you trade Nick Castellanos away to somebody, I don't know, maybe Minnesota, again, goes to the AL Central. And then you're looking at a situation where Bader can play a corner outfield spot. Crawford can play a corner outfield spot. Byron Buxton can play center field. How awesome does that outfield sound? Bader, Buxton, Crawford, Brandon Marsh is an opportunity to either platoon or just be your fourth outfielder. And then a fifth outfielder like, I don't know, Johan Rojas for defensive replacement or Weston Wilson as another righty bat. That would be an incredible turnaround of the outfield right there. And Byron Buxton could also be a great mentor for Justin Crawford if he does indeed make a starting position in his first major league season. Like it makes too much sense, Byron Buxton. And the risk at this point is worth the potential reward. So he is now near the top of my focus for this offseason. He would solve all of the Phillies outfield problems in one move. And it's a move that doesn't tie you to an aging player long term. Again, there will be a lot of players looking, a lot of teams looking to go out and get Byron Buxton. He's going to be a very attractive potential trade piece. And he could very well say, I don't want to go to Philly. And then you're beat. The Twins might talk to him and say, hey, we don't want to trade you. And then you're beat. It's there's lots still that needs to happen for this to materialize. It's not as simple as trade this guy for that guy and call it even, right? And things get complicated with big contracts and star players and no trade clauses and all of this. But the fact that this is being reported is showing you that he is not happy in Minnesota. He is willing. And an important note on this, you might say, well, why didn't the Phillies make this push for him instead of Harrison Bader at the deadline if he's such a great player? He did not want to waive his no trade clause at the trade deadline this past year. He told Minnesota he wasn't going to do it, even for a contender. Now he will do it for a contender, according to reports. Or, again, it may be open to waiving his no trade clause, which is more than what we've heard in the past. In the past, it's been a hard stop, no go on Byron Buxton. Now there's a little bit of a glimmer of hope. And when you start to open that with a no trade clause, like that is a big, big step. Just imagine this, right? If Bryce Harper told the Phillies, hey, I'm willing to waive my no trade clause to go to a team that fits this description, and that report came out, what would your first thought be? Because Harrison Bader posted a darn Instagram picture and everyone thought he was gone. If a report came out that Bryce Harper waived a no trade clause, we'd be like, this dude wants out of here. And he's going to get out of here. Take that and now just put that on Byron Buxton right now. This would not be happening if he was not interested in moving. I don't know if it'll be the Phillies, but they should absolutely be one of the teams that calls. They're also making a call for another big-time baseball player, manager, really just a figure of the game. A report came out about the Phillies filling that new managerial role, or not managerial role, but coaching role that they talked about in the year-end media availability. I'll remind you what that role is, and we'll talk about Don Mattingly as potentially a guy that could change up the way this Phillies coaching staff does business as we continue today's episode. All right, let's talk a little bit about our friends over at FanDuel because they are the absolute best. And the NBA season, it's cooking. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Now, you might just want to make a pre-game bet. I did last night. I took Tyrese Maxey's over in points in the Sixers matchup with the Celtics. I realized partway through the game, when he only had 8 first-half points, this might have been a bad call. If I had waited until halftime, I could have looked at his live line and said, oh, yeah, he's not having his best night. I'll take his under. Or I could have seen that Justin Edwards looked like a man possessed last night, didn't expect him to do anything. He ends up scoring 22 off the bench. That's why those live bets can be awesome. And they just keep you zoned in the whole time. You can even bet on a team that's heating up, not just a player, and say, hey, I think they're going to win this game outright. It's a great way to try and give yourself even more excitement when watching your favorite games or favorite teams. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So the Phillies created this new position, and they brought it up at the year-end media availability. They said, yeah, we're not firing anybody. Kevin Long's back, Caleb Cotham's back, Dusty Wathan's back, all of these guys, like Calitri's back. All of these dudes that coach for the Philadelphia Phillies are all coming back. And that drove me insane because I figured somebody's head had to roll. But they went about it a different way. They added a new position. Or it's I believe they call it the Major League Field Manager, which doesn't mean they take care of the field. They're not out there with like a rake and a hose trying to get the dirt right. But it's a different position where it's kind of this all-encompassing, another set of eyes to work alongside the current coaching staff. And now the name that has popped up first is Don Mattingly. And it makes a whole lot of sense. Don Mattingly is a baseball lifer, a great player, a great manager, won National League Manager of the Year in his managerial career. And now he's at the point where some people will look at what he's done recently and say, well, maybe his time managing teams has passed him by. He's no spring chicken. But that's okay. Baseball managers normally aren't. You could see around baseball younger and younger guys getting jobs for the first time. But there still is a place for the old guard. Guys like Tito, Terry Francona, guys like Dave Roberts, Dusty Baker. And these guys still have something to contribute to the game. And they've forgotten more about baseball than most people on this planet will ever know. Don Mattingly fits into that camp. Now, if Don Mattingly was becoming the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, I would have questions. But if they wanted to add him to this coaching staff to give years of experience to these players, I think you could do much worse for that position than a dude who is a Hall of Fame caliber baseball figure. There are a couple of reasons why this is more than just a Phillies wish list name that will never materialize. One, Rob Thomson and Don Mattingly spent a lot of time together up in New York with the Yankees. So there's familiarity there between the manager and Mattingly. Also, there's this guy in the front office that's currently one of the two GMs of the team. Yes, the Phillies have two GMs. It's Sam Fuld and this other guy that work directly under Dave Dombrowski. His name is Preston something. Give me a second. It'll come to me. Oh, yeah. Preston Mattingly. His kid is in the front office for the team, right? If that's not enough of a connection, I don't know what is. Like, he's got family working in the organization currently in a pretty darn high position, and people believe that Preston Mattingly could be the heir apparent to Dave Dombrowski. I don't know what the time frame is on that, but it makes so much sense that Don Mattingly would become part of this coaching staff. I don't know the total impact it would have. I'm not saying the Phillies are Don Mattingly's coaching know-how away from the World Series. But I will say that when they brought up this field manager position or field coach, Major League field coach, that's what it was, position, like I was thinking it was going to be some no-name guy I'd never heard of that some other organization gave up on, and the Phillies are like, hey, we see something in this guy. Maybe he can help us. I did not expect a name with the gravity of a Don Mattingly to be up for this position. If he comes in, that is something, even if it's a little something, that changes the tune of this coaching staff. And there were plenty of people who wanted to see changes to the coaching staff. Maybe it wasn't subtraction that was needed, but the addition of another trusted voice in the room that sees things a different way. I don't know if it'll work out, and I don't know if he's actually going to be hired for that job. But when I saw that he was a name that the Philadelphia Phillies were pursuing, and again, it was framed as the Phillies are pursuing Don Mattingly, not Don Mattingly is at the Phillies' doorstep on his knees begging for a job. We'll see if he does accept that, but that would get me a little excited. It really would. And maybe it changes the way that Rob Thomson handles things. I don't know what his responsibilities would be. It's a brand new position for the Phillies franchise, though other organizations in baseball have had it or added it over the past couple of years. But he's not going to make the team worse. He's not going to come in here and be like, we're screwing up this, that, and the other thing. This is a dude that has been around baseball for a long time. And the more wealth of information, guys, you can add to a coaching staff, the better. So I would love to hear from you in the comments on all of what we got into on today's show. Did you freak out over Harrison Bader's Instagram picture? Do you believe that Byron Buxton could be the answer for the Phillies in center field? And would Don Mattingly becoming a coach on this Philadelphia Phillies staff give you that extra oomph to believe in this coaching staff again? To believe in maybe not Rob Thomson, but the all-encompassing of what these guys could do to put this team in the right spot. There's some really interesting things happening this offseason. We're only on November 12th. A lot can change over the course of a Major League Baseball offseason, which is why you can't jump the gun too soon on stuff that simply reads like a player's leaving on social media. So some lessons, some opportunities, and some new names in the mix on today's episode. That's all for today's episode, though. Tomorrow, we will get back to our regularly scheduled free agency evaluation, and I'm sure something else is going to happen because Philadelphia Phillies baseball is never boring. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but there's always something to talk about. And that's why it's so much fun to talk to y'all on Locked On Phillies. Once again, we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff that helps us out here on Locked On Phillies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. And I will talk to you tomorrow on our next episode.